the public have said to me, why did council need 7 new chief executives, deputy chief executives, around the chief executive? And I said, that's not the case at all. So I'd rather...
They are new deputy chief executives, though.
No, they're not. They're the same people. And
yeah, but
Jeff will answer that.
They were previously group managers and 2 other roles.
I can pick up. There's a couple of questions I can pick up, Felix.
Okay.
So that's what I've had to respond to.
Yeah.
I've had to constantly put the story right, that these are not 7 new people brought into the organisation.
Oh, I think that's been clear from the beginning, though.
No, it isn't. Not with the questions that I've had from the contacts that I work with. You know, they're not people that write letters to the editor, but they want to see this town going forward. They want to see the district go forward, and they were a bit gobsmacked about help. Why are you, Mayor, through the Chief Executive, allowing that to happen?
Look, I think there has been some really misconceptions created as to what this change process was all about. We've created new jobs. Well, actually we haven't.
No.
The roles have changed, but they're not new jobs. Is that what you're saying?
No. For 5 of the executive team, there was a focusing of the jobs, there was a clarity as to what they're there to do, which was actually to achieve outcomes. So those are important changes. But from an employment point of view, when we assessed the level of change, they were not substantive changes to the role that would require us to, for example, advertise jobs or consider redundancies to that sort of level. That only happens when there is a substantive change.
But they have new responsibilities for outcomes. So they're different roles.
No. Look, that's where you're getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Because from an HR point of view, people have got roles. And if you vary their role substantially, fundamentally it's a new role. And they're quite entitled to say, hey, you never employed me to do this job. This is a new job. You need to pay me redundancy,
DCEs
right?
could say that because they said, you know, when they were
No,
employed,
because the roles were not substantive changes.
But they've got new responsibilities.
Felix, anyone in a job, if I'm employed in a job and Steve wants me to do some different things, she can ask me to do some different things. And we sit down and talk about the level of change that I'm going to do and what else she's wanting me to do, which I wasn't doing before. If she totally changes my job, I might have a conversation with her to say, Steve, you've totally changed my job. That's substantive change. In this case, we had change, but it was not substantive.
These deputy chief executives, they didn't have to apply for these roles because you don't consider them new roles. Is that right?
Well, if you're in a job and someone said, Felix, we'd like you to do a few different things over the year, I think you might be a bit surprised if someone said to you, oh, and incidentally now, you also have to apply for a new job. These are fundamentally their jobs.
Well, that would be, to me, that would be a promotion. So what value for money is Rotorua getting from its chief executive?
Out of my role?
What does the chief executive do if the deputy chief executive's office is overseeing the other deputy chief executives?
Look, my job fundamentally is actually ensuring this organisation is in the right direction and then ensuring that it's delivering what it is that it has to deliver. That's my job. And it's overseeing the delivery of all of those parts of the organisation. The deputy in this case is assisting me with that task, and there's 2 of us. This is our job.
Generally, isn't that a chief executive's job to look after that?
Well, that is my job. Actually, I think from a council point of view, what the council would say to you, actually, Felix, all of these jobs are the responsibility of the chief executive. The chief executive ultimately is responsible for the whole lot. Okay, and so that is my job. What I've got is someone working beside me to assist me in discharging that responsibility.
Is it usual practice to give somebody a new title and a new and a salary raise when they don't yet have a formalised job description?
Well, you've got a copy copies of the job descriptions and the outlines, and they
Are these the job descriptions?
No, you should have them somewhere in one of these packs from memory. I would just have to check that has actually come through. Job descriptions for DCEs, they are there according to the outline that I've got.
When did work on those start?
3. About September. This work that you've got here, these are the forerunner to the job descriptions that sit beside them.
Sorry, that is the job description?
I think. I haven't got item 2.
So what I'm trying to
item 3 in front of
is
you.
when those were finalised. Were they finalised before or after people's salaries and titles were changed?
Before.
But what I was told earlier in the week is that I couldn't have them because they were in draft form.
Well, they are, and they're finalised to the point where they're mostly done. Now, why they've still got draft on them is that we're still working through the final organisation change work, and we're still working through the KPIs. So there are some aspects which do need to be finalised, so therefore they're in draft. There is enough substantive understanding of what these roles are about for us to make the decision to move forward and to confirm people back into jobs.
The organisational realignment overall, how much is that costing the organisation?
Well, in terms of salary movements, I think it's $28,000 for the executive team.
But is there any cost to the actual change? Are there other costs?
There is. We've got, and I think it's actually, you've asked for some costs. We've got some consultancy costs which have been given to you here, which is $51,842.
Are you so they're mostly consultancy costs?
I think exclusively so.
Is it expected to cost any more because you haven't actually finished the process yet, have you?
Funny that I was just looking at the cost. The cost will go out to 75,000 from the consulting cost. That's the expected. Now, if we're looking forward at what else we need to do, that's probably thereabouts what we're thinking that this is likely to be.
And is that, so you said that was just for the consulting, are there any other expected costs?
No.
Have you been surprised by the public's reaction to this organisational realignment and the 7 deputy chief executives?
Look, I'm surprised. I've been disappointed because that's one thing that I've sort of felt. I felt disappointed that there's not a recognition of the work that this organisation is actually trying to do.
Know someone